Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this panel on distribution of XR artworks. So today I am joined by two exceptional panelists, Camilo Pato and Agnesta Filatove. So we're going to talk about XR distribution. So just to put everyone on the same chapter of the book, with XR, we intend extended reality. So everything that is virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, and so experiences that offer immersive experiences that change traditional boundaries of storytelling, art, and interaction. This afternoon, this talk is powered by two European initiatives. So we have XR for Europe, partnering with Realities in Transition. XR for Europe is a pan-European association supporting anyone working with XR and immersive content. And Realities in Transition is another European movement that promotes a more sustainable, ethical, and open XR artistic creation. So yeah, we'll dive today into the complexities of distributing XR content, how they reach audiences, the challenges, the opportunities presented by this technology, and also the strategies to pave the way for growth in this dynamic field. So I'm going to present quickly the panelists. So we have on one side Camilo Pato, founder and business development director of Diversion Cinema, and Agnesta Filatove, CEO of Art Tech Agency. And they both have been pivotal in shaping how XR content is brought to global audiences. So I'm very happy to have them on this panel today. I am Ilaria Gondavani. I'll be the moderator of this session, and I am European project manager for Chronique. So we'll discuss the topic for about 40 minutes, and please make sure to write all your questions in the comments, so that at the end we can see if there's any questions for our panelists. Okay. So I'm gonna start with some historical context. So we know that XR distribution has evolved rapidly since the very early days where VR meant having very bulky hardware and very niche content. And of course, the pandemic accelerated the demand for digital and immersive experiences, but also it exposed the gaps in accessibility and monetization. So, Camille, I would like your insights on how has the distribution of XR artworks evolved since you entered the field, basically, and what are the primary challenges that you face today?
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be part of this talk. We entered the field, so the Diversion was born in 2016, and we entered the field of distribution 2 years after that, so in 2018. We started during this year and a half before opening the distribution department. We were only, I would say, a service company for cultural institutions and mainly festivals. When we started we opened this distribution department, to tell you the truth, we didn't know exactly where we were going with that. We just had the feeling that being a service company for institution and festival, we were in contact with a lot of artists and artworks, and we wanted to have to structure the department and the company in order to promote those arts to a broader audience. I have to say that since then, and I think that the main change is in regards of the formats. We started mostly with 360 films. We opened very quickly to interactive VR, and now we welcome to our catalog 360 film as always, interactive VR, but also AR, full dome, immersive projection. So I would say that we started with VR and we are now really like in the immersive field, including digital installation that has no VR headset involved, VR or AR headset involved. So yes, the change is on the different format that we tackle, and also therefore the different clients that we have, from festival to cultural institution to also corporate companies, to planetariums, and of course online stores. Maybe we're gonna go back to online stores after when we continue this talk. Um, and I would say that the primary challenges, the primary challenges is to understand and to dig into those different formats and clients, and to understand exactly what are the offer that they are expecting. That's one. And second, and maybe at some point I can talk a little bit about numbers, to also kind of manage expectations in terms of revenue. Because as we are addressing different fields and different formats, we also have different revenue uh, 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 in the different fields of distribution. Yeah, that was my answer.
Very, very interesting, and I liked it because you touched some points that we're gonna talk about a bit later. So the role of festivals, for example, of course, the audience, because the audience is very important when you talk about immersive and XR experiences. But we'll dive into that a bit later. Now, if we stay on a more overview, let's say general overview, we've talked about historical context. Now let's move on to technological advancement. Because XR and the whole sector is very prone to trends, things evolve very, very quickly. And we can talk about some recent breakthroughs in XR, which are an improved hardware, cloud rendering, AI-driven content creation, new platforms have seen the light of day. We have seen VR, we have Viveport, and many others, and we also have more independent marketplaces which have diversified distribution, but also created challenges around discoverability of the experiences that you found there. So, Agnesa, this is a question for you. I would like to know how have recent technological developments influenced distribution strategies, and what platforms do you find most effective to distribute XR content?
I'm also very happy to be here. So just a bit late to be happy, but still. So first of all, I think talking about the platforms, maybe it's more about which are the most popular ones or affordable ones for the audiences, and it also depends on the audiences. Is this the just an audience or B2B sector or whatever we talk? So different audiences use different platforms. And talking about the involvement, I'm very happy to see, like, traveling all around the world, how R&D projects are helping to involve the technology to find the new ways, the new prototypes. For example, we're also participating in one European project called Transmixer, which we're also looking for new prototypes for culture, heritage, and news media projects. So this helps from European Union. First of all, I think it's very important for the development because it's very expensive, and there are not so many people who want, or businesses who want to experiment with their own money. That's why we can find already not only the big names of the platforms that are upcoming, but also the indie ones. So more help to participate for the players. Also, I think it's still the big laboratory, or how to like experimental area still, because everybody wants to like jump out with something new and work only in their own platforms with their own content, where we as a users, for example, from the audience side, it's more complicated then to see everything you want. It's the same we have in the film industry. Come on, we all have like 5 platforms which we pay for if we want to see one or another movie. So it's sometimes when it's more stuck to the devices, it's even more complicated to see the content that we want, because for example I have Quest, but I don't have the Apple, oh my god, I forgot the name, but still you understand what I mean. So it's the more problems. Still, it's very good that it's evolving a technological way, and it helps, I think, for smaller players to jump into the platforms.
All right, thank you so much. So about the platforms and who is then on the other side, we have the audience, and the audience, as we said, and Camille, you already mentioned that audience engagement in XR is very, very important, and it really depends, at least from my point of view, but I will let you share yours. Really depends on immersion and interaction. So but also cultural adaptation is very important, because you really make sure that your content resonates with the audience you targeted, in order for it to be approved and used, if you may. So Camille, I would like to know, how do you measure and enhance audience engagement in XR, and how do you tailor content to resonate with diverse cultural audiences?
Yeah. I would say that our position is a little bit maybe particular, in the sense that we offer the content and the producer that we represent to a client. These clients can be a festival, and in that case, most of the time they do have kind of a theme that they want to tackle this particular year, and we do our best effort to offer them titles that will go into that theme. And then when it comes to venues, most of the time for example, when we talk about cultural venues, as already said, we mostly work with cultural, let's say, institutions. They do have already an editorial line, and or a specific exhibition that they want to offer to their public. And they come to us, or we come to them, because we do have an experience that would interest, that fits, let's say, their exhibition or their venue. So in that sense, VR experiences are parts of a more general offer to the public. How do we enhance them, those experiences? Most of the time, I have to say all the time, most of the time we do travel with the experience itself. So we do have a team that will go and set up the whole space for this client, and we'll train the staff on site to make sure that, of course, on the technical side there is no hiccup, or not too many. But also to make sure that the staff that is on site, because this is really the reason of the training, have time to actually welcome the audience and talk to them about the experience that they just saw. It's really about putting back human relationship, let's say, into this. I mean, it seems to us from the beginning that having a human interface to interact and to talk about the experience that the audience just saw is actually part of the experience itself. So it's completely so basically, most of the training that they do, there's of course a technical training, but it's mostly also how to discuss and how to open a discussion with the public and with the audience. When of course the event, it's again, cultural events most of the time have time to that, and the public have time to for that. When we're talking about corporate marketing events, it's a little bit different, and then the conversation is not exactly the same. It still can be interesting, but of course we are talking about the marketing content and not a piece of art. So that's changed a little bit the dialogue. That is it, I think. Does it answer your question?
It does. It does. It was interesting that you mentioned also all the mediation, we would say in French. So the mediation that comes after, so the follow up after you. I'm talking about VR now, but after you get off the headset, so you come back to the real life, and you don't really know what to feel, what you have just experienced, and it oftentimes it's true that it happens that you're just left alone on your own. Just with that.
It's even more important, I would say, when you have multiplayer experiences, when actually at some point people that don't know each other share these moments, and it's kind of awkward not to kind of take advantage of this encounter in the virtual world and to transform it a little bit, not going to be friends, but just to transform it in real life and to have this moment to facilitate this moment. I think that can be with the time that we are now entering, that can be also a way to again put human relationship back into the world. Emily.
No, it's really nice and interesting to say. I mean, it's not really the topic of today, but we could go on a lot of on talking about the fact that so immersive experiences are a solo experience or like a community experience. There's this duality that is very interesting, but for another time, we'll have you back on the on the scene for this conversation as well. But today we are going. We said that we were talking about distribution. So who says distribution? Says money, business model, and market. So here comes the big question. Now we talk about monetization strategies. I did a little bit of research while I was preparing the panel, and to give you just a few numbers, which you may be aware of, the global XR market was valued at approximately 142 billion US dollars in 2023. And is projected to reach 1,069 billions US dollars again by 2030. It's not negligible, and we can see that this growth. I mean, it's just going to keep growing. So, Agnes, I would like your perspective on this. So, what viable business models exist for XR distribution, and how do you approach entering new markets with immersive content?
First of all, I want to accompany Camille's strategy about questioning the audience. So it seems like, because in Lithuania we have the same idea. It's the approach to the people who already saw it and to hear it out, what they think about it, maybe sometimes to improve it or to understand what is catchable, what is not, what is understandable and not. So it's also very good to use for marketing, for research, for making the next content even better, depending on the comments. So it's the same in Lithuania. We do it here. The companies that we work with, they all share this knowledge too. talking about the billions, yes, it's the statistics, and it's very nice and bright future if we see. The only thing that if we talk, for example, about investors, they still don't see it very like, if we talk from arts and culture and this part, because my heart is more here. So we don't see yet so many investors to put in that, even though the future says it's the billionaire market and you can be very like profitable thing to do. But the fact is, I think it's because we don't still have the models, the distribution and business models that could be very easy understandable, very easy prepared, like pitched, and you as investor, you know when approximately your money can come back and so on and so forth. So I'm sorry for coming back from time to time to the classical film industry, because it's my biggest experience from there, but it's also not very far from the things that we are talking about. The only thing, the forms and models and the like timing is a bit different. We don't talk about the content, of course, it's also different format and so on. But the fact is, if we go back to the film industry, we see it already. It's very rapidly and still ongoing. The investment, the money from businesses, from people, because you know what is the lifetime of one film, when it begins, when it ends, what is the path where it goes after the cinema, and so on and so forth. You can understand where you as a producer or the content maker, when you should start the next one to do, because you know the first one is already going to die and it's not going to give you enough money, so you have to jump in with the next one, and so on. In Lithuania, I was very happy to talk about one of the models that is very, I suppose, it's, very local at the moment, but it's also very related to the audience surveys about the people coming to them and so on. When you realize which issues do you have, for example, that not so many people have the techniques, the things that they need to see the content. Not so many people maybe understand still what it's all about. You have to put it in the big storytelling all the time to explain what it's all about and so on. So we had the VR film Trail of Angels in 2018. So it's very interesting because they're still alive till today, and it's very popular till today. So it seems like the lifetime of the product, the content, is quite long if you work enough on that and you find from time to time and experiment with the new models how to monetize it or introduce it to the audience. What happened after, because they were going to every single little city in country and around to showcase with the headsets, to gather the audience like by hand to explain what it's all about. But what happened after they brought it out and made a very great thing, because I suppose it's about 80% of Lithuanian audience have seen this movie, so it's unbelievable. And the monetizing, it's also unbelievable to understand, because it's the biggest box office if we see at the film. So it's the biggest box office of Lithuanian movie ever in the history. Of course, it's gathered in like 5-6 years. It's not like movies, like classical ones, they go for 1 year, they make their box office, and then nobody talks about it anymore. So after that, the industry, we saw pop-upping the XR content cinema, like these halls, distribution halls. In this case, we solved the problem about the people who don't have the headsets, for example. We have also the service where people are introduced to the thing that they are gonna like put on their heads to understand the content, what they are going to look for. So the cinema halls, VR cinema halls around Lithuania are also one of the, I think, part of the model who could reach out to the bigger audience easier, not only during the events that are happening in one or another country. It's becoming more like weekend or like evening time spending with the family. And also, it's very important not to forget in every model that audience really loves to share what they have seen. They really want to talk about it, because if you are the only one in your like friend round who saw that VR movie, it's very difficult to explain them what's your experience. You want to talk to somebody who will tell you, did you see that, or did you feel that, and did you understand behind the lines what was the main thing they wanted to send, it the message they wanted to send. So there are different things that are working, some working very good, some very maybe not, but I'm a bit like, it's a bit funny, but because it's still experimental area, like for 10 years. So I really hope we're already putting everything, I'm sorry,
No problem.
putting everything in one, the best of the best experiences to put in one big model, how it works from the beginning to the end. And where's the end? It would help to attract the investors and to plan your content for the future. And yeah,
Yeah,
I
of course.
hope that was not too long and I could answer your question.
I mean, you did start it by saying that there's no real business model like written, so it makes sense that there's a lot of exploration to do. That it's really nice. I mean, it would be also an occasion, I think, since there's nothing written yet, nothing fixed, to, as you say, explore and take into account different factors, different other models that already exist, and see what works and what doesn't. So yeah, it does actually reply to the question.
Yeah, this
Um,
is why it's very interesting to be part of it, because you are in the middle of all the things that gonna be put in one nice color.
yeah, for sure. So if we now go see more on the level of partnership and collaborators within XR distribution, we have, let's say, three elements that comes to mind. You have the role of festivals already, international collaborations, and other partnership and sponsors and what so. So mm, talking about festivals, we have some festivals like, to say just one, Venice Immersive, for example, who provide critical exposure for XR works. And for international collaboration, you have, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there to expand access to talent, to audiences, and to funding. For example, if we come back to the investors and possibility for fundings, I would like your perspective of you both on the importance and the impact that festivals and international collaboration have on the distribution of XR. Agnesta, if you want to start.
I can start and continue. Yeah, for such small markets like Lithuania, the festivals are one of the most important things to shine, to shout out, to show yourself, and so it's always been like that. The festivals were always to help focus on young talents of the big companies, maybe with a great content, to be acknowledged by someone who are professionals and very good in that, because we know that sometimes when people from outside tell about you that you are best of the best, it's much stronger than the ones that are inside and know you, and they also say like, okay, it's your good thing that you have done. For example, for us, we can say like when we introduce what we've done, and we always come to the festivals, and we are very proud to say that few of our projects were selected, for example, in Venice Immersive 2 times for the competition program. So now we can say, okay, yeah, country from used to be the service providers, which Camilla also said that they were like a service. We became the content providers. The content, which is already introduced internationally, the people already know what is Lithuania with the content. And I had so many meetings where somebody is telling me like, oh yeah, I know Lithuania from Trail of Angels, because there was like 2018 first VR movie went to the Venice. So from my perspective, it's very important to show off, to compare yourself to others, because also when you are participating, you see the other context. Also, it's from, for example, for the beginners, for the ones who are just starting making the content, they can compare and understand how good their content is, what is the competition, the world competition, what are the topics and the technical different possibilities and so on. So as far as I can see, it seems like I am the only one who will answer your question at the moment.
I don't know. It looks like there's some tech issues with Camille Wi-Fi, I guess. Oh no.
Okay.
I mean, you're frozen. You've been frozen for a couple of minutes now.
No. But can you hear me, right?
Yeah, we can. You can definitely request that.
I wanted to react to what you mentioned, Agnesta, about Trails of Angels. If I think we have people here listening to us, if you haven't seen Trails of Angels, manage to see it. I think it's the best, it's the most poetic and one of the best VR experience that I had the opportunity to see. So go for it. It's really, really amazing. So congrats on that. And it's already 6 years old, I guess. And it's still, it was one of my biggest emotion in VR. That is said. Second, I wanted to say that of course, you can go check out Divergent Cinema catalog. We also have good stuff. What I wanted to say is I agree that I think going back actually to the first question, our biggest challenge is to make VR part of the landscape. And it's what Lithuania already does, makes it happen, is to have different venue offering different experiences, but it's of course about, it's as easy and as easy to that going to the cinema, let's say. So that's really, I think, the next challenge for us is to make VR part of this cultural landscape. And then regarding festival, of course, it's also about festival are very, very important in the way that we promote each other. And we look at each other and we compare one to another for professional. It's also interesting because it's a first window for a kind of public. But we also have to be quite careful because festival goers are very particular in a way. And that's very different than having, again, venues that are not events. And that are open daily or weekly, at least, to welcome the public. So that's interesting. That's really also a way, I have to say, to monetize a little bit the experiences. But it should be like a step to the broader audience. and not to just keep it there. And I think that is also part of the challenge, to get outside, I would say, or after this festival career.
I totally agree. The festival must be the first step to jump out, but not the last one. And this is where we usually get the problem, because we don't have many opportunities where to show that content after the festival. So yeah, it's good to monetize for the festival quality, to show it, like for the content quality, to show that it has been in one or another festival and so on. But if you talk about earning money from screening it, we are not only in the festivals. And about the audience, I totally also agree, because the audience which is going in your city for the weekend just to see what's new happening in your town, it's not the same the ones who have seen many of content already, and they have more experience in that.
And then I would just say maybe that we are talking, on my side, I'm talking 100% for now. I just talked about location-based, so venues in the physical world. But of course, we do have also online sales for 360 films, but also for interactive VR. If we are talking about XR distribution, this should be part of the discussion in a way. But regarding what we do at Diversion, we mostly do offline content, offline distribution, and we actually find online distribution very challenging for our type of works that we are working with.
Thank you so much for also interacting in between the two of you. It's very, very interesting what we're saying. Just a tech note, because it's very. Camille, can you try to turn off and on your camera, because your image is still frozen?
Okay.
And while you do that, when we do this tech trick, we can move on to the next question. Actually, we could stay here for hours talking about this and delving into the topic, because it's. The focus was distribution and market, and then we've touched many lateral things. But the time is flying, and I would like to have maybe a couple of questions to finish, and looking at the future. I hope that Camille will come back in the screen. Let's hope. So if we look at the future, we have said that this sector is very prone to trends, to things come and go, and the sector moves pretty quickly. We could talk about AI, for example. We are not going to, because this is a whole different conversation. We could talk about increased accessibility via mobile XR. We could talk about hybrid distribution. So there's a bunch of things, and I would like your perspective on, looking ahead. What are the trends or the innovation that you can foresee, that you can expect will come up in XR art distribution? I don't know, let's say in the next 5 years.
I have a mad idea to see the consortium or some kind of big deal of different companies gathering together and making the one thing, just to make it more simple for the audience to enter and to see the things that they want to see, no matter which headset do you have or whatever you want to do. It's like to make it more easier. Of course, it seems like a pink idea which maybe even not gonna be happening. But for example, talking about smart houses, which is not topic of the day, but after 20 years of playing in that playground, they already are thinking about like making consortiums together, because in the house you have so many different things that you need to be smart, and it can be in one house from different companies. So I really hope this idea could involve in the our topic. Of course, it doesn't seem so if we look back to the classical industries, because we still have separated ones, but it's easier to access for the audiences already. It's not so expensive anymore. So I really do think that the more we experiment, the more we show new technical things or more content, the the way it's gonna be easier to access, it's gonna be cheaper, and the more audiences will could engage in all that. I think Camille has the more like precise one than me.
Well, no, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. First of all, because I was distracted with my camera thing, so I'm not sure I got exactly the question. But I would say that if we have to, something that we should actually change a little bit in our industry is the very important dependency on very big companies as Meta, for example. I think that at some point it's going to be a little bit problematic, also on maybe on an ethical level. Voila. And then, what was the question? Sorry, this is.
Right.
Future.
The future and the trends, and what do you expect to see in the next 5 years in the XR distribution?
Yes. I want to see actually more productions. I think that we as we said from the beginning, we kind of started and experimented a lot, and we are still doing it. But I think that now we kind of have, with the multiplayer experiences that we do have in France, and I guess in Europe in general, we are touching a little bit of a business model and of new. Again, I think that VR will make this challenge of being part of the cultural landscape, and therefore we need to have more contents to address different audiences and to make the best of this technology. And by more content, I mean also writers, storytellers, people that are really using this technology to enhance new storytelling and emotion in the audience.
And also, I think the partnerships are also very important for the future, because the more we work together, the faster we come out with the outcomes, the ones who work. Not only in your local industry, of course, like it's working in Germany or in France, local industry quite big. But for example, for smaller countries, it's a great opportunity to collaborate and to work together, because something that you have inside even your small industry, it's very maybe a very good idea to expand it and to use it in the biggest industries.
Thank you so much. Our very positive landscape, I can see. One final question, and then we can move on to the question of the audience, which are some. What guidance would you offer to emerging artists and creators that are looking to distribute their XR creation? To both of you.
Yes, I would say, first of all, think of distribution while you're producing. It happens too often that people are and they are rightfully so, very proud of what they made, but it's actually not really possible to just distribute it because it's too complicated, because it needs too many technical stuff, because the technology that is used is really too expensive when we want to address different markets, etc. So first of all, have that in mind. And second, once you have that in mind, it's very likely that you will produce then different formats. Because technology is changing, new players are coming. So if you make an interactive XR experience, when possible, do a 360 export. Think of having, but I mean, think about it. Just have it in mind and think that maybe actually your experience will be mostly shown as a 360 film, for example. And while you're at it, maybe it would be interesting to have also a dome format. Because of course, when you do that during the production, it's much less expensive than doing that afterwards. That would be my recommendation. And if you want to think about a crazy format that involves actors or etc., of course do it, but manage your expectation in terms of distribution.
And I would love to add, because I'm very with you and with the things that you've said, I would love to add that because very often content makers are artists, the ones who know the idea and they just want to give birth for their content, and that's it. So in that case, it's very good to think at the very beginning about the producer, about the person who would manage all that, who would put your content in one or another festival, who would find the audience, who will find out which audience is interested about your project and so on. And also, I should go even more back. If you are making flat thing, for example, animation, you should think already also a few steps ahead of making it possible afterwards to make it 360, VR, and so on. So we had already such an example, and when I approached to the very nice animation creator and I asked, is it possible? And they told me like, yes, we already thought about it. So it was a great to understand that they are thinking about it. So even though you are beginning from the flat screen, which is nothing with immersive, so you could think a few steps ahead and your like creation would live like way longer.
All right. Well, that was very, very interesting. Thank you very, very much. I am out of questions, but the audience has some. So I'm going to read the first one. We have not much time, maybe 5 minutes, so we can try to squeeze as many questions as possible. So the first one is, what is the situation for exhibitors who have the capacity to exhibit independently and want just to review and access immersive content? Are there dedicated distribution platforms that are viable alternatives to things like Questor, Viveport, and Steam?
I would love Camille to answer that.
Again, regarding online stores, it's not really my field of competence. But I would say that for art that are not game, let's say, art experiences, non-gaming experiences, is quite difficult to exist on those platforms. So I think that if you go on those platforms, you should, of course, market it a little bit. That costs a lot of money. And the revenue that you can hope for is not very important. So I guess for now, and again, I'm not a publisher, but I think that for now, artistic experiences live better on the location-based field.
Thank you.
I agree.
That's good. There was then a question. On the estimate on the XR market value. Does the 140 billion include LBE, HB, AR games? So the whole figures that I talked about, it's a very big and general figure that include both ER, VR gaming, entertainment, but also professional use. So when you use VR for trainings, LBE, hardware, software, it was, I mean, a number that included a lot of elements, just to have an idea of the market share for the sector. There is a question about price. What price do you give to your VR experiences? How do you decide on the price? Is it different for for festivals, for museum, or online stores? And does it also depend on the type of experience? So 360, 6 off, and others.
I could answer about the VR cinema halls. In Lithuania, for example, we have it from 10 euro to screen one like up to 30 minutes VR movie. But it's for the audience which comes by. It doesn't go online by itself. It doesn't have the headsets and so on. So the prices are a bit similar to the cinema film prices, maybe a bit higher, but not very far from that.
Yes, I would add that regarding the price, so we do have the B2C price. So when the consumer pay itself its ticket, and I would say that the price is more or less what Agnesta said, around the price of the cinema ticket. For half an hour experience, could be one film, could be several. And then we do have the B2B price, so it's a licensing fee, could be also revenue sharing, but in terms of licensing fee, it can be very broad. It depends to who is the client, for how many days, on how many weeks or months the experience will be shown, on how many headsets, and for which audience. So that's really, it's very, very broad. So it starts with 100 or 200 euros for a festival and goes to thousands.
Right.
Yeah, I think it must be stuck to the audience for sure, because sometimes it's like you can pay very little but show to the very big audience. So who is earning the money?
Exactly.
Sure, yeah. There is a question about business models. So how have you managed to merge different existing business models from film, art, and theater into new XR business models? And from a distribution perspective, how did you then navigate different people's expectations?
Talking about the models, so this is I think the nicest part of the new era of immersive distribution, because you can pick up different parts from different, like it said, from film, theater, and arts. You can pick up the ones that are suitable for you, for your audience, and for your art project or whatever you have it. So it's a very nice playground to pick up the cherries that are the best for you. And talking about the expectations, I'm not sure if I understand it correctly. We are talking about the ones who are going to work with your XR content, or the ones who will see it?
The person mentioned film producers, theaters, directors, etc.
So the ones who will work with you. So it's very important, the education and knowledge. So it depends on the market which you are working in. If the industry evolves and you can see more and more directors, we're talking also about producers, because they have to think differently than the classical models they had to. So it's all, from my opinion, it all very depends on the industry you are working in, and if it's not still very far in immersive and technologies and the things that to experiment. So it's also very important to also work on education, to show the things that are done, to explain, because usually, for example, we have problems with film industry directors who jump into VR and they just make the same movie only in VR, and then they are very surprised why it doesn't work. So because you have to think totally different. So the courses, I don't know, in Lithuania we have many already universities who prepare already to think differently when you put your script or direct something. So you cannot change the whole world. You find the ones who believe in that, you start with them, and they can spread everything around you. This is what happens here in Lithuania, for example. The more I involve people, the more are coming to this industry, because they already catch what's happening.
Temi, did you want to react?
On my side, I would say that yes, I guess the key point, and maybe I don't know if it's the easiest, but the way to start is to watch what has already been done, good things and bad things.
Very important.
Because mistake has already been made, so it's good to acknowledge them, and then from that, the field is very. What I love with immersive content is that you can really make a hybrid with theater, with cinema, as we mentioned, with video games, with all sorts of arts, and that makes it a very rich and interesting field.
Thank you both. There's one last question, but we have to make it very, very short. It's a question on formats like 360 or VR, so this to mind. And the person asks, wouldn't standardization of exhibition formats make the works more generic and in turn standardize the XR scene? What do you think?
Yes, it's a little bit difficult to answer, but I would say maybe it's a kind of an answer. I would say that on our side, 360 films, for example, is 2/3 of our global revenue regarding immersive experiences. So for now, 360 films is the format that travels the easiest and the most, and therefore generates more revenue. I think that also regarding XR, VR experiences that has interaction and this kind of stuff, the problem was more on the stability of the technology than on the really like a standard, I would say. But I don't know, Agnieszka, what is your call?
I'm the one who loves to experiment and to always to find something new. So from my side, the standardization is not the solution as the one, maybe, because I would love to choose the ones that are best for me, to make my own transformer, to see the experiences that have been done, are they successful or not, in which part, how they done. And from my side, I would love to see the whole scene, to understand what's happening, and only then to pick up the ones. So the standardization itself, I don't think it's the solution, but at the moment, it's also, I think, about the festivals. They also need to find out their niches, what they're working for, or what they're working about. So one maybe will be more in like We see the ones about animation, the more experimental ones, the social ones. So I think in the future it's going to be more understandable, for example, for content, the ones who are gathering the content for distribution, for example, for the festivals or for the one, they will know where to go to see the things that are in one or another topic. They will know that this is about that and this. So this, I don't know if I understand that standardization thing correctly, but yeah.
It was a nice insight. Thank you so much. I think that we are not done definitely discussing the topic, but we're gonna be done for today. Thank you so much, Agnesta and Camille, for being our speakers today. Thank you, XR for Europe, for co-hosting this event, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Realities in Transition. And thank you, Agnesta.
Thank you. I hope Camille will talk more.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Let's keep this forward.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.